Well, hey, this is Rhonda Simmons again, and I am the founder and CEO of the Simmons Empowerment Foundation. And welcome to another episode of Empowered Heart to Heart. I am so excited. Yes, I say that every episode, and you just might as well get on the excitement board with me because there's so much to be excited about. I have had some of the most amazing people on our show since I started it well over a year ago, and today is no different. I'm super duper excited because today we're going to be talking about something that affects everybody. I don't care where you're from, who you are, what side of the tracks you're on, what state, country, or anything like that. It affects all of us. And so you pretty much know by me saying that is one of two things, either health or money. So today we're going to be talking about money. Yes, money. We all want it. We all need it. The question is, do we have it and do we know what to do with it? Because that's the important part. And so here today, I have my friend, Mrs. Tana Gildea. Welcome, Tana. I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks, Rhonda. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Yes. I tell you, it is such an honor to be here with you. There is a verse that says that people perish for the lack of knowledge.
Hmm.
And I don't want my own ignorance of something that I should know about to be my downfall. And so I appreciate you bringing your expertise to the forefront today and sharing with us. And so, can you just tell us a little bit about your background and qualifications?
Yeah, certainly. Well, I started out my career as an accountant. So I got a CPA coming right out of college. I went in and did corporate audits for 6.5 years. And then I moved to a operations management kind of role until I had three babies pretty quickly with my husband, and then left, stayed home for a few years, and tried to decide, what's my next move. And what I found was financial planning. And it was kind of a phone call out of the blue from somebody I met at a tennis match and said, "Hey, my husband needs somebody part time at his financial planning firm." And I said, "Well, what's a financial planning firm?" I had no idea. But I was good with numbers, I was good with people, I was willing to do whatever.
Mhm.
And so I jumped in and started learning. And what I realized is it brought to the forefront all of my own gaps in financial knowledge and in how I had a bit of a dysfunctional relationship with money, with my own money, with spending, how my husband and I related to money. And so I started doing a bit of a deep dive into my own, really the emotions around money, because spreadsheets and numbers and those kind of things are, come fairly easily to me as an accounting background, but I just wasn't applying a lot of that to my own personal financial situation.
Wow.
So I wrote a book in 2014, which was everything I wish I'd known at 20 and didn't learn until I was in my 40s. So I enjoy speaking to groups and just trying to help people have more knowledge than what I had when I was starting out.
Oh wow, that is so great. I love how you're paying it forward and trying to help someone.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
because that's so important. So, what are some tips that you can provide to women who are just getting started on their own financial journeys?
Well, one of the important things is understanding your own relationship to money. And so, really sitting with, our society doesn't like unpleasant emotions. And so, when we feel fear, when we feel anxiety, when we are afraid of doing the wrong thing because of a lack of knowledge, then sometimes that makes us pull away, pull back. And so, recognizing that and being able to sit with those feelings and emotions and let them be a source of wisdom and guidance for you. So if you're feeling resistant to looking at your bills or looking at your bank account, sort of sitting there and saying, well, what is holding me back? Is it lack of knowledge? Do I just not like the answer? I don't like seeing where the numbers are. And really addressing that and letting yourself feel the emotions, and kind of asking, whose voice am I hearing in my head? Right? Because as kids, we pick up all of these messages from the adults in our lives. And so I know as a mom, I'll hear something come out of my mouth and think, where is my mother? That was like straight from mom, who was probably straight from grandma, who got it from great grandma, right? And so
Mhm.
same thing with money, we have kind of these same things being passed down, whether we realize it or not. And so the first step is just this awareness of, what am I resisting? And how can I lean into that resistance or learn something from that resistance, that will help me go forward? So that's number one, understanding that. And then number two is, you have to take some action. Even if there is this resistance to looking at the credit card statement or trying to reconcile the bank account, it's like, take that deep breath and say, knowledge is my friend and my power.
Yeah.
We can't improve our situation if we don't know what it is. And finances we can be so blind to it. It's
Yeah.
no longer like I open my wallet and see how many dollar bills I have in there and I know where I'm at.
Mhm.
Everything is virtual, everything is online. It's very nebulous. Spending money on a credit card is nebulous. It doesn't seem like we're spending a whole lot of money. And then you look at the end of the month and think, oh my gosh, how did those $5 and $10 add up to this really big number? Why did that happen? How did that happen? So
Mhm.
it's really invisible to us in a lot of ways. So what we need to do is start making it visible. And you do that by gathering the knowledge. How much do I owe? All my bills, all my debts, what are the payments due? List it out where we can see it, whether that's a spreadsheet or a piece of paper or notebook, whatever. And then our assets, what do we have that's protecting us? And trying to think of, we're such a materialistic society, trying to change the thinking from, oh, I have money that can buy me stuff, to thinking, I have money that can protect me when things aren't going well. And if we can kind of have that shift, that we want those dollars, those are like soldiers protecting the door. And the more of those soldiers we have, kind of the safer we are here on planet Earth, from the bad things that happen, from the flat tire, from losing the job, from somebody getting sick. So those are three big things, and I'll stop and let you jump in and ask questions from there.
Wow, wow. You said so many wonderful things. I love how you talked about what voice are you listening to.
Mm-hmm.
I remember several years ago, it was Christmas time, and I'm an educator by profession. And so I was off for a couple of weeks over Christmas time and exhausted and desperately wanting to go on vacation, had
Mm-hmm.
no money to go on vacation. And I remember sitting there at my computer in my home office saying, I'm too old for this, and I'm too educated not to know. I feel like I'm
Mm-hmm.
supposed to know more about money. And
Mm-hmm.
and I started thinking about my childhood, and I grew up with um, handicapped parents, and that was the nucleus of my life, was taking care of
Mm-hmm.
my parents. So we never had those conversations about money other than how to figure out what 10% of my income was so I can give my tithe to my church.
Mm.
Other than that, we never had those conversations. And, at this stage of my life, I can't, keep blaming my parents on my lack
Yeah.
of knowledge. And so I'm glad that you're making that connection to, that it's time to wake up and realize that some of the financial habits that we have now, good, bad, right, wrong, or indifferent,
Mm-hmm.
are a result of our upbringing.
Yeah.
And so
And it's not to put blame on somebody, because they were doing the best they could.
yeah,
And they were kind of dragging the baggage that, they got from their upbringing.
hmm
So it's just a point that at some point you have to say, it's up to me.
yeah,
My life, creating my life, my financial security. It's not my parents' problem and responsibility. It's not my children's, it's not my spouse's or my partner's. It's really got to be up to me. And I have the power to learn and to do better and to listen to the voices in my head and, the whispers of the past, and take the good that they gave me and kind of get rid of some of the bad or the things that aren't serving you in your life right now. Those might have been great for great grandma at the time that she lived, and that's what she needed to hang on to, but maybe that's not what is relevant or helpful for modern day life and for what we have going on in our own situations. So it's just that being aware of it and hearing it and asking the questions and not being afraid to hear the answers of what that is. And so much, I think especially for women, we have a lot of regret and we have a lot of shame if we don't do things right. And you said early on, well, I should know more. I'm old enough. I should. And anytime you hear yourself say that, you have to kind of stop and go, well, is that true? Should I? And it doesn't really matter. That I should be further along. I should have more money saved. I should know this information. All of those things aren't that helpful. It's just a way of saying, okay, I should know about investing. I should know about saving. Okay, let me go take some action to learn those things. If I feel like I want that knowledge, then let me go seek it out. Rather than having that guilt or that shame that we don't have it. You have to just say, hey, I forgive that little girl that didn't learn that, or that was never given the opportunity to pick up those lessons and to understand those things, those concepts. And now, by gosh, I have the internet. I have a library. I have friends and resources and people that I can go to. I can walk into my bank and say, I need some help understanding how to reconcile my bank statement. That's what those folks are for. And they'd probably be thrilled, honestly, if someone actually walked in and spoke to them. You're looking at a computer all day long and no one ever wants to talk to them. So take advantage of those resources. There's lots of free ones out there. And there's no shame in not knowing. There is no shame in not knowing. And if you walk into that bank or you go to a teacher and they make you feel stupid, just say, thank you very much, but I will find someone else that is willing to help me, because no one should make you feel stupid or bad about yourself because you have a lack of knowledge. That's ridiculous. I don't know anything about nuclear physics. I don't know anything about, doctoring and lots of these other things. And, no one's going to make me feel stupid because I don't know how to put together a car, but I don't know how to do my bank statement. Same thing. You shouldn't be made to feel bad about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm sure many of our listeners and viewers want to know, what do you recommend that women save from every paycheck? Just
Well,
nail it.
I would say a kind of a gold standard is if you could be saving 10% for your short-term freedom fund and 10% for your long-term freedom fund, you will get yourself in a very good position. Now, short-term freedom is that savings account that if the tire goes flat, if you lose your job and you have an emergency, it's freedom from worry. That what will I do? If I don't have that paycheck once, or I get the flat tire. So creating that safety net, and if you think about it as freedom, it's giving you freedom from worry. The more of those dollars you have, the safer and freer from worrying you can be. And then 10% for the long term, because someday you're going to be 80 or 90. I know when you're 20, it's impossible to believe that you could ever be that old. And don't think of it as retirement. Think of it as long-term freedom. And so that is the thing that when you get to be 50 or 60 or 45 maybe, and you say, you know what, I just can't work for this person anymore, or I just can't do this job anymore, there's some freedom in being able to walk away from that bad situation for a while, and get a better situation, or regroup or rest or do whatever you need to do in a bad moment. But all of these things create some freedom for us to be able to do the things that we want to do and not have to go out there and do something because of the paycheck. And if you aren't there, I mean, many people are living, very paycheck to paycheck, and there's just not a lot extra, especially if you're working more of a minimum wage kind of job. Then I would say do the best you can to carve out some money from every paycheck, some money that you just stash away that you try never to touch unless it is just, red emergency, because something's better than nothing. And so if you can just get in that habit and then be looking for little things, to say, well, I don't really need to go get that cup of coffee. What if I put that $5 into my freedom fund instead of enjoying this moment? Let me set myself up for some freedom, next week, next month, next year. And the more that you can make it a bit of a game, let me see how little money I could spend this month and still get by and still feed myself and still pay my bills. Then it becomes a little more of a game. And,
Right.
You're winning the game as that balance keeps going up, up, up. And you've got the pride of having accomplished something and taking some steps to create some freedom for yourself.
Wonderful, wonderful. Tana, like you said, when you Google, my husband calls it Dr. Google, but
Yeah.
when you Google, about financial advice, a whole lot of people come up,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to name any individual, but there's one in particular that will probably come up top on the list, and so I want to ask you, in your opinion, which is more important, to save money or to pay down debt? Because I've heard a number of things.
Yeah. Well, I think you always want to have some money saved. Because there is, flat tires and big bills that come out of nowhere and those kind of things. And so you want to be prepared for that. So trying to get at least, $1,000, it's all relative, right? $1,000 is nothing to Bill Gates and Oprah Winfrey, but to somebody that's on the edge, that that's a good amount of money. So find that number that just says, let me get something in there that if there is a bit of an emergency, I can pull from that. And then start looking for ways that you can pay down debt. And I like the idea of saying, well, if I'm going to try to, let's say I can put 5% of my paycheck, in a savings account, then look for ways to, okay, I'm not going to have that cup of coffee. I'm not going to buy that, pre-made dinner at the store. I'm going to get the raw chicken and the head of lettuce instead of the bag of salad kind of thing. And then look to shave off a few dollars here and there that you can stash toward the debt, because it's very easy now to just online, $3, $5, $10. And so when you can carve out those things and immediately take that money and pay it down, you get some instant gratification of seeing the debt balance go down, but you're still making a priority to get some money in the bank and get that safety net in place. And I think that's a good compromise between the two.
Yeah. One of the gurus talks about something similar that you said about the emotional connection with money,
Mm-hmm.
and how you don't get that when you're swiping all the time,
Yeah.
because it's so easy. And this person lives by paying cash for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I mean, it's a totally different feel. Would you agree with that statement, that it's more emotional
Well,
when you're?
yeah, I think because you're not giving anything up when you swipe or you wave your, Apple Watch at something as you walk out of the store. There's no sense of loss that I've given something up in order to get the shiny thing. The shiny thing is right in our face. And of course, in that moment, that's the thing we want more than anything. So
Mhm.
I think the using cash gives you that sense of, oh, okay, I've got to hand over a $20 bill. And what if I, put that in my bank account? What if I, paid that down on my debt? How would that improve my life versus having this thing?
Mhm.
I think that there is that connection of giving up, but in general, we just have to have the mindset that it's not about having all the stuff. It's about creating that security and seeing the money in the bank or the debt balance go to zero. We need to be trying to find satisfaction and fulfillment in that rather than in having this thing in front of us or getting that cup of coffee or whatever it is you want in the moment. And I find myself a lot of times like I want. You walk down the aisle, I want. And
Mhm.
I picture the little girl in the Willy Wonka. I want an Oompa Loompa now. And she's so bratty that I try to bring that into my head when I'm constantly walking around. I want. And like, stop. We all have that bratty little kid in us. And we just need to rein her in and like, well, I want some financial security. I want a safety net. And so it's just shifting how we think about the everyday things. And whether you're using a credit card or a debit card or cash, you still have the ability to stop and say, do I really need this? Is this really the most important way to use this dollar?
Right.
But we just have to be mindful because the marketers don't want you to be mindful. They want you to see the Snickers bar in the checkout line and be hungry and want to grab it right now without thinking. And we need to try to, play whatever tricks we can to outsmart all of those shiny things, in our face all the
Yes.
time.
Absolutely, Tana. Absolutely. For decades, the American dream has been to own a home. Home
Mhm,
ownership is viewed as almost like this is the reason why we've been placed here on the earth.
mhm.
You have arrived when you have purchased a home. It's just this unstated thing in this country. And so, but I'm laughing because I'm thinking about
Mhm,
my husband because he's not here, but I'm at a place now where I'm really thinking, do I want to, you know,
mhm,
continue being a homeowner as opposed to if I rented a place, I wouldn't have to cut the grass, wouldn't have
mhm.
to worry about the appliances. If they break, just call them, they'll fix it. So should it be everyone's goal to own a home?
I don't think so. There's a lot of good things about owning homes, and there's a lot of bad things about owning homes. So you have to not only be financially secure enough and stable enough in your world to commit to doing that. Because as you said, when the furnace goes out, the buck stops there and you got to figure it out or be
Right.
cold. Um, and
Yes.
so there's just so much responsibility with having a house and you can't let it fall to pieces either. It's got to be painted every so often and
Hmm.
boards that rot have to be fixed. And so
Yes.
there's a lot of financial and time and energy commitment that goes into owning a home.
Hmm.
So, you have to be emotionally and financially prepared for that. And I
Hmm.
have a lot of clients who are like, talk to my, 22-year-old and tell them how great it would be if they bought a house. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that because not everybody buys a house that appreciates in value over time.
Hmm.
Some do, but some don't. There's people that get into situations for whatever reason that their house isn't worth as much as they paid for it when they bought it. So it's
Hmm.
not always a good idea to have that house. You
Hmm.
don't always know, am I going to be here for 3 to 5 years, in this same not only city, but this area of town? Do I know for sure that this is, the spot that I want to be in and I want to put down roots? Because you really do need to commit to at least 3 to 5 years, closing costs and all of those things that go into buying. And you have to want to allot your dollars toward that place versus doing other things, like
Mhm.
traveling, or maybe you want to save up for a business, or you want to save up to go back to school, or there's a lot of other things out there that people want to do and the desires of their heart. And sometimes
Mhm.
having a lower cost apartment where you've got more disposable income to do some of those things, especially before you have kids and really get, where you have to be a little bit more settled. I
Mhm.
think it's important to consider that and to think of, what is my ideal life like? If
Mhm.
you're a homebody and you love cooking and you love having a garden and being outside and mowing the grass and all of those kind of things, then maybe having a house would be great for you. But if you like adventures and I really want to backpack through, the national parks, and I want to go to concerts and do all these other things, you have to allocate based on those kind of things to have a great life and to have a life that's
Mhm.
fulfilling and satisfying. And so it's really knowing yourself and what is my ideal situation before you jump in and just make that assumption that, oh yeah, I need to be, I need to be buying a house, or I'm not successful. We get to define success for ourselves, and maybe
Yeah.
having a much bigger bank balance feels more like success and security than having a house that have to take care of and clean and mow and fix and paint and all of those things. So
Yeah.
I would never, I've never told my kids like you need to be saving for a house. I'm like, it's your life. You live it based on what feels good for
Mhm.
you, and what you deem as success and
Yes.
security.
Yes. I just believe once you have the money, you can do what you want to do.
Yeah,
I think that's the fundamental thing here. Do you have the money to do whatever it is you want to do?
right.
Because
And
when you
there's
don't
plenty of
have it,
people who become house poor, where you have this big house, but all of your disposable income is going to pay the mortgage and the utilities. And now I got to
Mhm.
have furniture, and now I got to have a lawnmower, and I need tools, and I got to paint something. And then, all of a sudden they can't do all of the things that they enjoyed doing before they had the house, because now there's no money for anything but the house.
Right.
So you have to really think carefully about that. The other thing that people will sometimes say is, buy the biggest house you can possibly qualify for, because over time your income will go up, and you'll be able to afford it. And I don't think I buy into that. I think you need to set up your life in a way that feels comfortable, so you can still do the things you enjoy doing now, and
Mhm.
not just be beholden to the feed and caring of a house.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Tana, I know that you've written a book, and there's a saying that says leaders are readers. And I had someone ask me just the other day, "What are you reading?" It's out of the blue.
Mhm.
And it's so important, and in this day and time, when we say reading, we understand that could be listening,
Mhm. Yeah.
to the book. However, we get it in, we need to get it in. And so, other than your book, I have one here, The Graduate's Guide to Money.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Yes.
it.
Wait, trying to get on camera real good. Yeah, there we go. The Graduate's Guide to Money: Tools for Starting Your Financial Journey on the Right Foot. Oh my goodness. Yeah, as we have come to say many times, if I knew then what I know
Mhm.
now. And if you're
Yes.
watching or listening and you haven't said that to yourself yet, keep living. You will, about something. And so, do you have any other good book recommendations to help us on our financial way?
Well, there's a book called The Psychology of Money, and it's Morgan, and I can't think of his last name. But if you just Google Psychology of Money, it is very, very readable. It's not like some heavy psychological, it's all told through stories and examples. But
Mhm.
he does dig a lot into some of those emotional connections that we have and that we've picked
Mhm.
up along the way, and gives some excellent advice. The other thing I just did, my firm does a book club that I lead. And so our book this past quarter was Switch: How to Change When Change is Hard. And it's not specifically about money, but it is about how we think about making changes and how we actually can implement the things that we want to change in our lives. And so it can easily be applied to, spending habits and saving habits and those kinds of things as well. And again, this is Chip and Dan Heath, and they write in such a readable way. It's all story based and example based, and so that is just a fun, easy read, and you're going to pick up a lot of things. And then the other one that I would say, again, not specifically about money, but is Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yes, I
Because
read it.
habits rule our world.
Yes,
The bad ones can, get us off in the ditch. The good ones can lead us to the life that we want.
yes,
And it's not about this, grit your teeth. I've got to floss my teeth. I've got to run 10 miles every day. I must do these, I should be doing all these things. It is about helping you become the person that you want to be. And you do that through small habits that lead you just one little
yes,
step, and
absolutely.
reinforce your identity. And I just listened to a podcast yesterday with Adam Grant. He has a podcast called Rethinking, and it used to be something else, and I can't think, work-life balance, I think, or something like that. But anyway, Adam Grant, there was an interview with James Clear. It was not the most recent one. It was a few episodes back, but very, very good. If you're just like, oh, let me see what he has to say, you get a lot of really good information on how James Clear is. And he has a free email every Thursday, 321, where he gives you, 3 tips and then 2 from somebody else and 1 question to think about. And so even if you don't want to read the book, the newsletter is really, really good.
Cool.
So
That's wonderful. That is
yeah,
wonderful.
I could go on and on with books, on and on with
Yes,
books.
I love reading. I love books. That's wonderful, and I can't wait to dive into your book as well, because this is information we need to know, and like I said, the more we are armed with knowledge, the better off we'll be, and the better off that we can help others and in
Mhm.
trying to better ourselves and empower ourselves. We can have all the grand ideas that we want, but most of them will require some money.
Yeah,
So we
yeah,
need to have some. We
they
need to have
do.
some.
They do. And everybody has the capacity and the ability to just learn a little bit more and do a little bit better. And again, it's not the grand gesture. It's not the, oh, I'm never going to go out to eat again because I'm going to save all my money. That doesn't work very well. We don't like being that constrained. But it's choosing to do one small thing every day, whether that's I'm going to, listen to a podcast, I'm going to read a chapter of a book, I'm going to, subscribe to a newsletter that gives me financial tips, I'm going to, go research a particular topic. I heard a word today that I didn't know. Let me go investigate what that is. Just small things. But when we consistently do those small things,
Mhm.
um, it is going to change us. And whether it changes us for the better or the worse depends on what you feed in, right? If I'm
Yeah.
feeding in garbage to my mind, if I'm listening to junk, if I, read trash on the internet or books or movies, then that's what goes in and that's what's informing my actions. So put some good stuff in there and take some small actions to become the kind of person that you want. And fix that identity that I am a saver. I am financially sound. I am financially literate. Uh, you know, versus I save money now and then. No, I'm a saver. I'm a saver
Mhm.
because savers save money. And then
Yep.
that becomes your identity, and you have to start doing the things that align with that identity. So finding the identity that you want and then taking those little actions, just little baby steps, little baby steps. That's what it's easy. Find something that's so easy to do. Sure, I can save $1, of course, and then another one and another one. Because I heard, and I don't know who to credit this to, it was not my idea, but somebody said, if you have $1 million, which dollar made you a millionaire?
All of them.
It's all of them. You need all of them. And the
Yeah.
first one is as important as the second one, as the millionth
Yes.
one.
Yes. Love it.
So we have to, think of that $1 at a time. That's all right.
Yes. I love it. I love it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, uh, I actually can't remember off the top of my head how Tana and I originally connected. I think through my website, but I am so glad that we did, because she is a wealth of knowledge, pun intended, wealth of, wealth of knowledge, that we need to tap into and we need to learn more about. And I have an upcoming summit in November. We've got one in August too, but in November, I'm hoping that Tana will be available. Isn't that something? I'm putting her on the spot right here.
Yeah. Might as well. Don't ask, you don't get, right?
I know, right? November 10th and 11th. You don't have to do both days, but I would love for you to be on our summit because one of the things, one of the rationales behind the summit, and the fact that I offer a diverse um, spread of topics is because as women, I find that we tend to be successful in one area or many areas and struggling in another,
Yeah.
all at the same time. And so
Mhm.
that could be a part of the human condition, but it's definitely a part of our world as women. We can be powerhouse professionals, but there's just this one struggle that we just, we're really struggling to nail, and finances is a big one.
Mhm.
It's a big one because I don't know how you feel. I can justify a mani pedi any day of the week. You know,
You work hard. You work
yes, I work
hard.
hard.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember when I was marrying my husband, I told him ahead of time, you don't want me to take my pedicure out of the budget. I promise. You don't. You will literally come up scratched.
Yeah, yeah. But you
You
have
know.
a plan, right? That's money from excess. You're not taking from the power bill or the savings to do
Right,
those things. You've
right.
planned that because it's important. And that's what we
Yes,
all need to do is get the important things in there. And
yes.
then, make sure the savings is in there and the debt pay down and, the mortgage or rent and, all those things, the big rocks, the big things, important things going first. And if the pedicure is an important thing, then make sure it gets in there and there's something else that you're saying no to.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because if you're saying yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else,
That's
and
exactly
vice
right.
versa. Yeah.
Yep.
So, uh, with the summit coming up in November, November 10th and 11th, our Dear Future Me Women's Empowerment International Summit. I'm so excited. So,
Yay.
can you give us just a little tiny preview of what you would share? Don't give it all away, but just enough to make people say, I'm showing up just to hear Tana's presentation.
Yeah, I'm going to go into the power of our money story and how to find and identify that money story and how to grow beyond the story so that you create the ending to your money story that is best for you and your life and your situation, and start getting rid of those shoulds and the voices that tell us how things should be and what we should do and what we should want and how to be successful, and find it in yourself so that you can be the powerful and successful woman that you want to be.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I know I'm hosting the summit, but even if I weren't, I'd have to be in the room. I love it. And that is the whole premise behind the name of my coaching practice, the name of the summit, Dear Future Me, because I
Hmm.
refuse to believe that this is all there is. And I'm
Yep.
always working towards a better Rhonda. There's got to be a way to improve myself in some way, somehow, some shape, some form, in some aspect of my life. And so I love how you're going to get all in my business and deal with those with those money stories, because we have a story. We
Yep.
all have a story. And so I am just so excited. I've enjoyed talking with you today. You've been a tremendous blessing and help, and I'm armed. And what you don't know, I'm starting a brand new job on Monday, and so I'm going to have my new budget all lined up. Just Hannah said, 10% short term, 10% long term. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have it, as my mother would say, I'm gonna have it all divvied up.
There you go. There you go. Get those important things in there. Get your soldiers starting to guard the door.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Well, Tana, thank you so much for being with us. Any parting words of wisdom that you want to share?
I would say just have fun with it. It's an experiment. You try things. If it doesn't work great, you tweak it. You try something else. You just keep continually trying to improve and find the style and the tracking software and the plan and the actions that work for you, because the things that work great for me may be a disaster for the other person. So you have to just keep trying and not beat yourself up if it's, oh, I didn't get to 10% on my, short term this month. That's okay. Just be curious. What happened? I had a plan. What went sideways? What can I do to set myself up for success next month? As women, I feel like we're so hard on ourselves if we're not perfect, like right out of the gate. Got to be perfect, got to be perfect on the eating plan, on the exercise plan, on the money plan. And we just don't cut ourselves any slack when life kind of gets in the way, or we just screw up, or we're just tired. So be gentle with yourself, be curious. What happened? How can I make that better for myself next month? How can I set myself up for success the next time? And then just keep moving forward, learn something from it. Nelson Mandela, one of my favorite quotes: I either win or I learn. And we have to
Yes,
have that attitude. I won, I nailed it, I hit the plan. I didn't. What can I learn? What can I learn so that next month I get closer to hitting the target?
absolutely. Yay! Thank you so much. I
Thanks for
appreciate that.
having me. I'm so glad it was helpful.
Yes, tremendously so. Thank you so much, Tana, for being with us today. And if you will just hang on just for a minute, I'll be
Sure.
right back with you. And
Absolutely.
we will close out our episode today and just have a good time. Okay?
All right. Thank you
Be right
so
back.
much. I enjoyed it.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, OMG, this was good. This was good. I told you at the onset of this episode, if you listen to the intro, our purpose for this podcast is to provide messages of hope, conversations that heal, and interviews that empower. This was one such interview. I feel so empowered with knowledge. The world is full of so many people who say, I've got the answer to solving this problem. No, that's not the way to do it. I've got the answer to solve this problem. And what Tana has done today, she's encouraged us, just start. Start. Whether we can do the 10 and 10% of savings. She said, if that's not possible, carve out some amount of money that you can consistently save for a rainy day. Because guess what I found out? I'm not going to tell you my age, but I've lived long enough to know that it's going to rain. I don't care who you are, how old you are, where you come from, what you look like, or anything like that. At some point, it's going to rain in our lives, and things are going to happen. It's inevitable. It's a part of life. The question is, will we be prepared? Are you ready? Are you ready for those things that just come up that need our attention? And so we've got to make sure that we're handling our money wisely, because it takes money to do anything. Even if you want to be a philanthropist, you've got to know how to handle money to give it away. You've got to know, what do I have? How do I spend it? How do I save it? How do I invest it? We didn't even talk about that because that's huge. How do I make my money work for me? Because it's my understanding compound interest is golden when it comes to money. So we need to arm ourselves and equip ourselves with the information we need to be successful so that we can not only be blessed, but we can be a blessing to someone else. So I'm glad you were able to join us today. Make sure you like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, bookmark this episode or the entire podcast itself on whatever platform you listen to so that you can keep coming back, because we're putting out episodes every single week. So you don't want to miss a single thing. So I encourage you, until the next time, be blessed, be encouraged, but most of all, be empowered. And I'll see you next week.